So I got breath number 6, and that's all we're going to do.
As many of you in this congregation know, I'm living with Alzheimer's. I wanted to preach one more time, so I thank you for your patience, love, and understanding. I'm going to give a sermon about pain. You heard it right. We might well say, why not talk about love, happiness, joy, something positive, inspirational? In the Bible, Jesus tried to speak about his own pain. I'm not copying him, with his disciples once. And Peter rebuked him, saying, God, forgive, Lord. This shall never happen to you. In effect, let's not talk about this. It's not surprising we may not want to talk about pain. But whether we talk about it or not, it's a part of everyone's life. And the reason, sooner or later. And the reason for talking about it is to learn how to cope with it and even capture something positive from it. When it comes to pain, we know what it is because it's real, painfully for all of us. We want to get away from it. But pain has its destructive and creative side and can result in withdrawal, depression, anger, cynicism. But on the creative side, can develop increased sensitivity, awareness, and empathy for others. We can imagine and believe someone saying they had never known pain. Sooner or later, as life's pain visits us, as it inevitably will, we may lose our faith, becoming angry at the God we feel has cursed or abandoned us, or assume there is no God because a good God would have protected us. In the Old Testament, the psalmist says, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face? How long must I bear pain in my soul and sorrow in my heart all day long? When Paul prayed to God for relief from his thorn in the flesh, whatever that pain reference meant for him, the response he received from his inner God was that God's strength would come through his weakness. Obviously, the biblical Jesus knew mental and emotional pain as his disciples misinterpreted, misunderstood, and abandoned him, and as he realized people were plotting to destroy him, let alone on the cross. In the biblical version, he knew physical pain and anguish, crying out, my God, why have you abandoned me? Whatever level of pain we may be experiencing, biblical and modern literature express it powerfully. A contemporary poem written by Peter Meinke brings it home. This is a poem to my son, Peter, whom I have heard 1,000 times, whose large and vulnerable eyes have gazed in pain at my raging, thin wrists and fingers hung boneless in despair, and pale, freckled back, spent in defeat, pillow-soaked by my failure to understand. I have scarred through weakness and impatience your frail confidence forever, because when I needed to strike, you were there to be hurt, and because I thought you knew you were beautiful and fair, your bright eyes and hair. But now I see that no one knows that about himself, but must be told and retold until it takes hold. Because I think anything can be killed after a while, especially beauty, so I write this for life, for love, for you, my oldest son Peter, age 10, going on 11. We also identify with the pain of knowing that we've caused pain to a loved one, a parent, a spouse, a child, a friend, a stranger. Apart from what we do to one another, aging brings its own inevitable pain. This poem by an amateur writer is titled, For You. This is a poem for you, grandmother, whose eyes have seen the world for 90 years. This is for your gnarled hands and crippled back, your failing memory and lasting confusion that frustrates you again and again. And this is for all the times you've hidden your pain and laughed at yourself when we were ugly and impatient with you. And this is for your strength and courage that keeps you going day on day, letting you ignore the fact that you have lost all the brilliance that once was yours, letting you push aside the humiliation your progressive dependence brings to you. This is for your determination and stamina, keeping you from placing blame and becoming embittered. This is a poem for you, my sweet, brave grandmother, because you are all I hope I can ever be. So when life's pain catches up with us, the way we respond to our pain may well determine the quality of our lives and our legacy. A situation or a time in which we are depressed and in despair can be transformed, and we may become energized not because we have the answer or have resolved the problem, but because suddenly we access the profound hope that we will overcome the pain. It may be that choosing to embrace such a hope or a vision is the very thing that gives us the strength to step out of the emotional and spiritual quicksand that pain can put us into. In addition to learning how to cope with our own pain constructively, to minister to ourselves, we are called to embrace the inevitable pain of others. The biblical Jesus said, I was hungry and you gave me food, thirsty and you gave me drink, a stranger and you welcomed me, naked and you clothed me, sick and you visited me, in prison and you came to me. This church has had the courage to address painful issues in the wider world, in this town. We address as well what is the most relevant pain in every church, the pain of individuals in our own fellowship. The summer services have often been a safe space for people to share their pain and find relief. For it's likely that in sharing our private fears in a safe context, we'll find understanding and healing in the words of others sharing the same experiences. And we discover that hiding our reality from others and in protecting ourselves from others, we may create a private hell for ourselves. Whereas finding our courage and sharing our pain brings relief, support, and healing. As we know, with a chronic physical pain condition, learning to meditate, perhaps 15-20 minutes twice a day, breathing fully in a relaxed way, and simply registering and accepting the pain, rather than fearing or cursing it, can relieve the intensity of the pain. That also works with psychological pain, rather than from stress having us to our having the stress. That's not playing with words, perhaps because it's a world of difference from stress having us to us having and accepting stress. It's less stressful. For example, there is a growing cultural awareness of childhood abuse, sexual and physical. Sometimes adults who have had merciful amnesia for their childhood victimization begin to get flashbacks or nightmares, bringing back painful memories. They may panic at what is happening to them, but eventually discover, in facing and naming their pain and sharing it with someone able to be present for them in a caring way, that fear is replaced by a feeling of deep security and safety. An extra satisfying benefit is discovering that recognizing and accepting our own pain is what gives us the capacity to understand and develop empathy for others. For some, pain becomes a catalyst for creating one of the many powerful healing support groups that have blossomed in recent years. In this way, people wrest meaning from the tragedy or grief and pain. I've told this story before, but it also fits here. Viktor Frankl, the Austrian psychiatrist, if you can imagine, lost his wife and 3 children in a Nazi death camp. He studied life in the camp while an inmate and concluded that those who could not do so inevitably died. And when he was liberated, he committed himself to a form of healing called meaning therapy. It challenges people to create meaning out of their painful conditions or situations, rather than surrendering and being defeated by them. An important part of becoming experts in pain treatment is to learn to allow ourselves to be ministered to by others. And part of becoming experts in pain is for us to learn in our turn to minister to others. How hard it can be to minister to others in their pain, so long as we think we are called to fix it. If we are tempted to tell others what they should do, we may become a nuisance to them. Each of us, as we become willing to be present when people share their pain and listen without giving unwelcome advice, can communicate caring attention by words, by look, and touch, can become powerful healers. The Reverend George Jackson, who preached here, a Methodist clergyman, specialized in a ministry to the elderly. He used to have an expression when ministering to people in the nursing home regarding listening to their stories. He said he learned to regularly nail his shoes to the floor, not his feet, his shoes. We could all learn to symbolically nail our shoes to the floor and be present to others in their pain and in their stories. I look out at you just as you look at me and know that what I see and what you see is not the reality or the truth of one another. For many, our pain is not obvious. Neither is our ability Neither is our ability to care and be healers obvious, but both can occur in every one of us sooner or later. Where there has been hurt around certain issues, incidents, and no doubt personalities, there is an opportunity for us to grow in learning, to listen to one another, and to help in the healing thereby of one another's pain. Poet Adrian Rich coined the phrase, to hear one another into being. What a marvelous theme that could have for any church, to hear one another's pain. When others are sharing their stories, their pain, it is much easier to listen than if others are sharing their anger, accusations, and complaints. Often anger, accusations, and complaints are covering pain. If we can mature in our listening to the point of calmly, non-defensively hearing complaints and accusations, whether they are true or not, we will not only be hearing others into being, but in a real sense we will be hearing ourselves into being also. We UUs can become experts in pain management, our own as well as that of others. May each one of us be moved to make a promise to ourselves, and if you will, to our God, to not knowingly add to the pain of anyone else. May each of us promise ourselves and our God to hear others and to hear each other into being. Let us be willing to nail our shoes to the floor for one another and truly listen from the heart. Thank you.
Amen.